Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another podcast of Herschel Talkers. We got week 4 in the books, going into week 5. Please follow us on social media, YouTube. We're also on the Twitter. We're also on Facebook, 247. We usually post on Dawg Nation forums. Please get those views up a little low last week, but hopefully this week will be a little better. Later in the show, we're going to have 1-800-SULTAN. Jeff will join us. He joined us last year. He's always really funny and got really good insight. But we'll jump right into it. How we doing today, Big Sean?
Definitely. I think we need to emphasize, we need the viewers definitely follow us on the Twitter.
The Twitter. Hopefully Sean can actually post some stuff. I feel like I'm kind of doing all the work over here, but maybe we'll get him going.
Fair enough.
Well,
I'm doing good. I mean, it's a little rainy or whatever, but, it's hump day, right?
Exactly, someday, and I think the weather's finally getting a little cooler, so we're heading right into fall, so it'll be great for football. We're jumping right into it. Georgia wins on the road last week in Columbia, Missouri, 43-29. And to me, a sluggish, kind of struggling performance. We'll get into that. I'll give my thoughts on it first, and we can get Sean. So first off, I was salty after the game. I think I was talking to Sean. He probably had talked me off the ledge, and I don't know. I guess I'm thinking like, can this team hang with Bama? I know that's looking down the road, but defensive line really struggled against the run, which I was really surprised. Also, Chaney's play calling was just kind of, he went back to his 2016 ways of just running up the middle, very conservative, like 3rd and 6. I think they ran with Harrion one time, for example, on 4th and 1, and they even had, I believe, Trey Hill, who's like 350 in the background, got stuffed. So just stuff like that, and overall just sloppy and undisciplined. It reminded me of a Rick team from back in the day. So that's just what got me. The rushing, looking at it, like we gave up over 172 yards and 4 touchdowns, one of them to Drew Lock. Like pretty much the positive though is they held Drew Lock at bay. He had 1 pick and no touchdowns throwing the ball. He was 23 of 48 for 221. Had a really low quarterback rating, I think 26.5. So that's the negatives. I mean, there's some positives, but that's just really got me salty and thinking negative about it, thinking that they got a lot to clean up. But what were your thoughts on the game, Sean?
Well, I think like you said, a lot of people are, and I think kind of what you said has been what, the pundits across the board have kind of said. Including our good friend, Uncle Lou, who, if you guys don't follow him or haven't seen his YouTube videos,
Right.
They are definitely A+ entertainment and I think pretty insightful too. So you guys need to check out Uncle Lou, a good friend of ours, on his YouTube channel. But I guess that
Bluetooth TV.
That's right. That side tangent aside, I mean, my thing is that it was not the best game for Georgia, but I'll say this. I think one we kind of noticed over, or at least that I've seen to kind of notice over the course of the years, I think that there have been times in every game where click that on.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trey, what you were saying is kind of, I think it's kind of the universal consensus on, Georgia. But I'll be honest with you, I think that, thus far into the year, I think those are, some of those trends of things we've kind of seen in spurts. I don't know that we've gotten a complete game out of Jake Fromm yet. It seems like there's been times in, even in South Carolina you saw it where, you kind of had some unnecessary turnovers and things like that, and then it seems like he, snaps out of it or whatever. And I'm not really sure what causes that. But you see it some on the defense as well when it pertains to the run. And so I don't know, maybe if it's just perhaps maybe, Jake Fromm and company maybe overestimated, how easy it was going to be. Or maybe, Georgia fans collectively overestimated how smooth a transition from a leadership standpoint it would be, from Michelle and Shud to, Fromm and Swift and those guys. You've lost kind of a lot of senior leaders, you know what I mean? And so I think, if you want to call it a sophomore slump or whatever, you've kind of seen that. I just think it kind of got magnified a little bit in that Missouri game. But I wouldn't say necessarily it was Rick bad. I feel like if this was a Rick team, we're basically winning by a field goal at the end of the game. I mean, the reality is, I think it was just a game where Georgia clearly should have played better. And I think you're kind of fortunate you come out of a game like Missouri, knowing that, you're not as good as you thought you were, or, as good as the pundits said you were. And so, you got to get back to work. I think it's, certainly a bit of a wake-up call. I think you'd rather have it now as opposed to, against LSU or Auburn or whatever. As far as the whole play calling thing goes, I know, Uncle Lou's brought that up. In my mind, one of the most overrated things in football, unless if it's just stupid, like, when it's 4th and 25 and you're down by 2 from 25 yards out, running up the middle against Alabama, like, to me, it's just about execution. So, I mean, if some of those plays could have worked, and Chaney would just be kind of seen as, kind of making a creative call or whatever. It's just the fact that, it didn't work, and obviously, there were some things that I think were easy to see why they weren't going to. And there was a lot of risk associated with them that people were kind of, coming back on Chaney as far as the play calling goes. Alabama's won national championships with 3 or 4 coordinators, one of which was Swamp Donkey. At the end of the day, if your offensive line can open up holes and give your quarterback time, like, you're going to score some points. So to me, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to sit here and bash Chaney or anything like that, although I've done my share of that in 2016. I think the reality of the situation is that just some of it may have been, an untimely play call, but I think just as much, if not more than that, it was also about, just poor execution. As far as, some of the issues that I think we saw with the run or what have you, I don't know if anybody read the 247 column that Jake Rowe put out, but Monty Rice didn't end up playing, and, he seemed to indicate that really caused the total number of reps that, Natrez Patrick was playing to increase a good bit. So I think some of that could have been fatigue issues as well. I mean, people got to remember, too, that we didn't just lose, Roquan. We lost Reggie Carter as well. And, Reggie Carter was by no means, an All-American or All-SEC type player, but I think he, as a senior, in all fairness, gave us quality depth. And so right now we've really got 2 guys that, have got good experience and that can provide depth right now, or I guess 3. With, Juwan Taylor, Monty Rice, and what's his name? Juwan Taylor, Monty Rice, and Natrez Patrick. And so, when one of those guys goes down, you're going to have some fatigue issues. So, I mean, it just is what it is. I think, in retrospect, and again, I'm not trying to minimize or say that the concern, because
I think we lost him again. Yeah, some of the other things that I thought that were Rick-esque, as they said, was just the penalties. So they had 6 penalties for 77 yards. One of the worst ones was I think they stopped them inside the 10, and then Jonathan Ledbetter just had this late push, and it was 15 yards, just a stupid penalty. So he had a couple of those, and then the other one was I know to bring it up, but dropping the ball past the pylon up for the touchdown, J.J. Holloman, that could have been catastrophic. They had to review it, and that happened, with DeAndre Baker in the South Carolina game. So I'm sure there's going to be some internal discipline on that. You just, they were showing old videos. Is do what Thomas Brown used to do back in the day. Is he used to run and put the ball right in front of the very end of the line in the back of the end zone, and he used to celebrate. So I bet you might see a new touchdown, put the football down type strategy. But anyway, like that. And then also came out, we're banged up, which I was worried about. So Ben Cleveland, I think it was a broken fever. Was it a fibia or tibia?
Or
He's
tibia,
out
right?
4 to 6 weeks. Also Andrew Thomas, which I don't know why they even played him. He, re-injured his ankle. He got rolled up again, which I thought Cade Mays has done pretty solid the last couple of games. As you said, Monty Rice with an MCL sprain. Tyler Simmons has a shoulder issue. I think he might be out 2 to 3 weeks, that's one place we can definitely absorb a blow is the wide receiver position. So, just banged up altogether. I think we're really going to miss Big Ben down the stretch, but I think what I was reading this week, they're playing, Cade Mays in that spot and moving, Andrew Thomas if he's good to go. And plus you have Trey Hill and Jamari Salyer who were pretty much, ranked first, I guess, or second or top 5 in the nation for coming out of their recruiting class. So we're pretty depth there. Another guy I want to give a shout out to, which was great, was I believe when Tyson Campbell had his issue, he was banged up a little. He should be good to go this year. I think he was throwing up on the sideline, had a shoulder issue. But you got to give it to what was his name? He had the touchdown. Eric Stokes had the block punt, and then he also had some breakups. So he did a really great job coming in. So you got to give kudos to that guy. I think he had a really good camp. So him coming in and taking it away. So yeah, and we'll jump right into it. I believe Jeff's trying to call in, so we'll hold on just a second.
Hey, and Trey, pause it for a second.
All right, we got 1-800-SULTAN-1. He was on our episodes a couple of last year, so we're great to have Jeff back on. How are we doing today, Sultan-1?
Doing good, Pepe. How you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, we had to get Sultan-1 back on again by popular demand. Plus, our views were up last year. So,
Yes.
Can I get a woo?
What am I, a
Woo!
There we go. There he is. Also, hey man,
There you go. Hey.
I've been on a Ric Flair obsession recently. Like pretty much when I go out, I know it's old, but I do woo all the time. And
Yeah.
that Jay Lethal clip that's making fun of him on TNA from like 2011. I'll play that from everybody, and it's good as gold. It's like 6 minutes when the kids.
Oh, Lethal's fantastic with his impersonation. It's fantastic.
Dude, he sounds just like him. Yeah, but jumping right into it, Jeff, we wanted to get kind of some of your backstory of the 1-800 Sultan-1 gimmick, and then your historic interest on just being in that gambling, giving predictions, that type of thing. If you can just give a little bit of backstory, and I believe you're a little bit of a
and let's be clear, like Sultan-1 is not in sports gambling. He's just our unofficial expert on sports gambling.
I make recommendations for entertainment purposes only. That is correct, but it's sports prognostication was always the gray area I always called it. So, I'm an old.
So how did you get into it?
Well, I go back to high school I always thought my whole angle with this stuff was basically fantasy sports is like your weed, your feeder drug into sports gambling. So I was into fantasy baseball, fantasy football way back like the early 80s before it was even cool. Not to ever think this shit's cool. But I've been following this stuff forever. So naturally, the next step is that you know the players and you're a dork and you got to run your teams. Now you apply their stats and understand the betting line. So that was just a natural transition. When you're a young guy in college, all the fucking frat houses have like makeshift bookies, and they're all fucking, guys with bowl cuts and your duck head shorts, usual southern rednecks. So I got to UNC, I had guys that get friends of friends, and I started playing with the stuff a little bit, and I kicked their ass. It was, and I have some good stories, that progressed from there. Actually, a guy I did used to place with at Carolina's house, Fat Al. And this is before the days of the internet, so this is so bad. But this guy was arguably one of the stupidest people I've ever met in my life, but he was loaded. So on Sundays, so I've always had this itch of like playing the goon conferences, like the MAC, like the Sun Belt, just dumb shit like that. So when it came to basketball season, Sundays were like when the Missouri Valley and the Mid-American Conference is playing basketball. And this is days with the headline news, like CNN and a sports picker. So you didn't know the final scores. Like there would be the sports phones when you call up and, hey, every 15 minutes, they score on this, and then also you call 1-800-71 for my 900-star lock of the day. So they have these phone numbers. So you watch the CNN ticker, and I'd have all the finals for the game. Fat Al would never know in the Missouri Valley or the Mid-American basketball games were. So I'd call him up, like, okay, Fat Al, I want to have Ball State +9, Southern Illinois -3, and, oh my gosh, let's just take Western Michigan +1. This guy's, it's every Monday. It's like, oh my God. My code name was Happy, my former RA. He's like, I can't believe you got those 3 again. You're on fire in the Missouri Valley in the Mid-American. I'm just sit there and laugh my ass off.
So you'd literally watch those games or pay attention to the stat sheets on the players, huh?
Well, back then I literally had the finals, but when I actually, had legitimate people, like when I go to Vegas and play this, or if I'm following that consult for people, my whole angle is there's asymmetric information because everyone wants to bet Ohio State, Penn State. Everyone wants to bet Stanford, Notre Dame. Who the fuck wants to look at Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan? Who wants to look at Arkansas State, Georgia Southern? My whole angle is there's asymmetric information, so Vegas never would get those lines right if you actually knew those teams. Not necessarily, if you know the trends, but actually really know those players before yourself to death. Go on one of the fucking public access stations and watch and listen to these bullshit announcers that are terrible. If you guys ever watch like a local Charlotte 49er game, it is the worst fucking announcing you'll ever hear in your life. It's like broadcast from a wind tunnel. And it's like fucking...
It's like our podcast.
It's worse than a podcast because, not that, I will be politically incorrect, but it's like the Special Olympics for freaking broadcasting. These guys are terrible. It's not even like it's a hobby. They're so fucking bad. That's the type of games. But if you really want to get in, you can pay attention to that stuff. So, like, for college basketball, the Big Sky Conference. Or before Gonzaga was big, the West Coast Conference. So what I did from there is basically in the early 2000s, again, there's a big gray area on, what's legal, what's not. So my whole thing was basically I was a website, so I was the Sultan, and the Sultans of Sport offered not only fantasy sports advice, but also sports prognostication advice. Because no site married the two together. And basically, and the end goal, and I'm not bullshitting, it's the absolute true story. So the one thing that we wanted to do, obviously while I was operating on my fucking garage, the long-term vision, and this is based off of, like, in the 90s, there was a telephone fantasy game where everyone would have the same lineups, all right? But where you'd call in, you'd have 25 moves per year in baseball, but you'd have, it would be a salary cap league, so you'd have $60 million, and you have access to all these guys, and you need 2 first basemen, 2 third basemen, 5 outfield, and the like. And then you have 25 moves throughout the year, you can go and bring people in and out. So I thought, okay, if once this site got going, we should do something like that on the net. And of course, we couldn't get any funding at the time because it's that gray area. No one wanted to dive into this horse shit. But of course, as you know now, this is really DraftKings and FanDuel. And this is not a lie. It's an absolute true statement that I pinched myself because, I knew this was where the market was going, but I don't have any share of that fucking money. But, I just sit back and laugh. What are you going to do?
Really?
So that's my story.
Awesome.
What's the most money you've ever won?
Oh, Lord. I would say the most points I've ever won when I've been entertained, when I've done entertaining. I remember one day, I remember this vividly. It was actually my good buddy was moving to Utah, and March Madness was on, and I was just feeling it because I'm a big positive energy guy and a lot of traction, and the party was awesome, and I was just in the zone. So basically, at that time, I had 6 bets going on. I think I had 4 that were 1,500, and then 2 were 1,000, and I went 6-0, so I won $8,000 that night. The worst I ever lost, I can remember this. It's actually the same run. Okay, so it's by C-Check, and it was in that national championship of Kansas and Memphis, and this was horseshit. So basically, I think I had 2,500, and I never bet these amounts. Like, this was just, at that point, like I was riding the hot streak. The line, I don't recall exactly. I think it was Memphis minus 2.5, and they were winning the whole game. They had the ball up. I think, up 3 with like 30 seconds to go, and they're at the line. So Kansas fouls them. The guy goes to the line, and he breaks both free throws. Kansas goes down. But there's 30 seconds. So Kansas goes down. It's like 20 seconds, 15. They drop it, a layup. They cut it to 1. Okay, so Memphis gets the ball in. It's like 10 seconds to go. They pass it around. Kansas fouls. Duke goes to the line, hits the first, so gets up 2. Bricks the second. No, take that back. I'm sorry. It was 2. He hits it. It goes up 3. So, it's a laugher. They're up 2. The coach serves 2.5. All I had to do is like, hey, Kansas, don't hit a fucking 3 or anything. Sure enough, this asshole throws up a 35-foot 3 and throws it in. It goes to overtime and Kansas wins. And you're like, what the fuck, man? So that's
terrible.
That's a painful loss. I've had a lot of stories like that. I've had a lot of bad beats that are pretty freaking bad. But, it's like, it's just like playing Texas Hold'em, Control what you can control. If you know you have your money in the right way, you're going to have horseshit beats that way. You can't go on tilt. There's always another game, another hand coming. What happens is people get so pissed off that they just go to death spiral. And they just start, betting like an asshole. So, bad beats happen. I mean, I laugh them off. I've had so many in my years. What are you going to do about it?
Are there, how often is Vegas right in terms of the spread? Like when it comes to like major like conferences or like the NFL or whatever?
Oh, it's amazing. Like they will literally fall right on the line. So like, so that's what I watch too. Is I watch line movement. So like if it's a spread, that half point where they call it a hook means a shit ton because I always so Vegas, that's the difference between like internet guys and maybe like illegal bookies versus Vegas guys. Is Vegas doesn't let you buy the half point, meaning if like a spread is 6.5, you can maybe pay a little more commission or juice or what they call VIG to go and say, okay, I'm gonna buy off that half point and make the spread 7 so you tie. And Vegas doesn't do that. So it is amazing. And especially even something as ridiculous as college basketball where you think games don't matter at half a point. Bullshit. NCAA, the March Madness, the lines are dead fucking red. So if you don't buy that hook, you shame on you, you're an idiot. If you have the ability to do it, always do it. Don't be a cheap ass. If it's like, so normal commission is what we call minus 110. So it means it's a 10%. So if you bet $100, you have to add 10% juice. So you'd be paying 110. But if usually to buy up a half a point, it depends on like what could be 25-cent juice. It's well worth it to have that peace of mind because when you lose by being lazy and not having if the hook matters, you'll be pissed off. That puts you on tilt big time.
How about have they gotten any better with like being able to predict like these mid-tier basketball or football conference games, or is that still just open territory, so to speak?
It depends. It depends if there's like a cheap team in there. Like Gonzaga, they'll always inflate their lines, but they usually beat the shit out of everyone in their conference. So, like the crappier teams, no, but what you got to worry about, that's where you got to watch line movement because, there is some shady shit that could go on. I mean, there could easily be some things to be fixed, and I'm dead serious about that. I mean, there's point shaving that can happen, and those are the games that can easily happen because there's like 2 people in the stands of a Santa Clara Pepperdine game, and it could be real easy to say, hey, dude, brick a layup at the end or something like that, But, no, there's just got the best time to pounce on Vegas for those type of games is like the first month of the season for college basketball. So that's usually when the big teams play, you'll have like UNC plays, I don't know, fucking Gardner Webb or some shit like that. And they'll just have lines like minus 19. You just got to pound the fuck out of things early. Like Vegas doesn't get the first 3 weeks when it's not in conference matchups, when it's a good team against a shithead, or if it's two shitheads playing, from a different conference. If you know the teams and they're like, hey, this team has got 5 seniors coming back and the starting point guard, and the line's slow, you always, you take an experienced team. There's plenty of good information out there. So there's.
Interesting. Well, man, what about going into what about games this weekend? If you're, who would you recommend people take a bet on?
Yeah, give us one of your wacky picks. We'll get into the other ones. Go ahead.
My wacky pick? Okay. Well, I will say I like New Mexico. They're playing Liberty out in Albuquerque because this is funny because Liberty's out. This is an independent Division I, so they got a lot of street cred. So they beat the shit out of Old Dominion their first game. I think it's like 55-10 or some ass whipping. And of course, Old Dominion goes and beats Virginia Tech and probably the upset in the last 25 years. I mean, Old Dominion sucked ass. The fact they went, and the thing about that game is Old Dominion, they had a backup like that's like my size, 5'9", like $170 wet. The guy threw for 500 yards on it. Old Dominion sucks. They came down and lost to Charlotte the week before. So Liberty, because they're an independent, teams don't really want to play them. They've actually got to go, not only play out, they play at New Mexico. They're playing New Mexico State twice in the same year. So they're doing a home and away against New Mexico. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Because New Mexico State, they used to be in the Sun Belt, they got kicked out because, they fucking blew up. So Liberty is just trying to go on the schedule. So New Mexico State's like, hey, we need games. So they're doing a home and away. So Liberty going out, playing New Mexico. New Mexico hung with Wisconsin. New Mexico's only 6 over Liberty. Give me a fucking break. That should be a 2-touchdown game. New Mexico minus the 6.
Hey,
that for you?
Yeah, that is perfect.
Hey,
have you seen the spread on the Georgia-Tennessee game?
Oh my Lord! I actually like to predict things when before the lines come out. I know this series, and I actually looked at the numbers at this because this is such a rivalry game for you guys. I think the biggest line. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the last 25 years, I think Georgia was like 18.5 in like the mid 90s, and I think Georgia won by 3. I thought the line, and I watched Tennessee. They are fucking terrible. I watched that Florida game. One of my major picks last week was Florida minus 4. I couldn't believe that Florida. You know what? Kentucky's not that bad. I can't believe how awful Tennessee is. I mean, I know the coverage there, and they got the new coach. Pruitt, but fucking A, dude. It's going to take a long time for those guys to do something. I thought the line would be like 24.5, 31.5. Are you fucking kidding me? This game? But here's the thing. Yes, it's a rivalry. Yes, you think it should be close. You still look at it factor for Georgia. They're playing Vanderbilt. I mean, yes, Vandy always plays them tough. But it's not like it's a major team they're going to fucking skip and have a letdown against. I think they beat the shit out of them. I don't see anything that's going to show that because what they need to do is they got to keep up with the Joneses. They got to keep up with Alabama. They got to put people's dick in the dirt whenever they can. So
that's right.
I think they could easily. I think it's a 52-7 game to me. Honest to goodness, or 52. I don't see Tennessee putting more than 13 points on the board. So it's a matter of Tennessee just not taking their foot off the gas. They need the style points. I think they do it, man. I think they covered the 31.5. It's crazy, but I think it would. What do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead. Give your thoughts about the game. What you want to say, Sean?
I mean,
I had to do my rock. I had to do a rock. Sorry.
I mean, honestly, I think last week, even though we covered the spread, I think that a lot of people came out.
Actually, we didn't. It's 14.5. We didn't cover as a push, or we didn't cover.
Oh, yeah, no, Missouri was the loffer. Missouri was one of the picks we actually like the in option, which means 90% of America was on Georgia. Yeah. That might smell too. So you go with Missouri, and double team. You were talking to me about it. And I said, I like average America too. I thought, Missouri. The problem with Missouri is their defense sucks, but they always can throw a backdoor touchdown because of the offense. And that's what happens. You get that horseshit. It's backdoor is always wide open, which I know you like. You like fucking deep bunghole sex. I know that's what you like. The back door's open.
All right, what's your prediction?
I don't know. I think people saw us underperforming last week, and I kind of agree we were a bit sloppy. I think that enough has been made of that. I think they're obviously going to emphasize that. I think we come out with a chip on our shoulder. I think we cover it, honestly.
Yep. Well, look at that. I always love when they broadcast games from Missouri. That field looks like it's from 1930. Like, it's the most drab, boring, shitty stadium. It just looks like ass. Like, the atmosphere's terrible. It's just, Missouri's got those weird fucking, alternative yellow uniforms. Yeah. It's just like yellow and yellow. No, it's just like you're not motivated to go play Columbia. You're just not. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna go a different way here. I think the only way that Tennessee can hang is I think they're going to try to run the ball and be physical, kind of like Pruitt to a la Kirby Smart. So they had over 200 yards against Florida. I know that was a terrible game, but 6 turnovers. I mean, how many times are you going to give teams 6 turnovers? And like the tight end wide open, he runs down there and fumbles in the end zone for the touchdown.
Oh, that was fantastic! Yeah.
Yeah, so I know, and you got Guantanamo Bay, as I call him. So they're going to keep it close in the first half. Here's what I think. It's going to be 38-10. They're going to pull away. So I would actually take 31.5 with Tennessee, just because if you look historically, it's been closer than this. I know they're garbage. They're terrible. So I'm going to go 38-10, Georgia pulling away in the second half. But I want to see Georgia, can they stop the run? Because if not, that's going to be a problem going forward. So you still got at LSU. Kentucky will probably get in that game. Are they for real? And, of course, Auburn. And then, of course, can we run with less backs than Sony Michel and Nick Chubb? We got Elijah Holyfield and DeAndre Swift. I don't think they're as good. But, looking down the barrel, can you run on Alabama? I'm not sure. I was just salty after that game the way I said. I just like, man, this is not a team, number 2 team in the nation. So I think 38-10, my prediction.
Here's the key. What they need to do is they need to get the Cal transfer. They need to get Robertson involved is what they need to do, because they've got the deep weapons to torch Alabama. Obviously, Husband's got the touchdown those last how many games? I mean, the dude's been on fire. He's a deep threat. So him and
he scored 2 against Alabama last year.
Yeah, he did.
No, I think Georgia's I think they got more playmakers than last year. At least not from the. They just got to not be conservative and just. They just got to let loose. I mean, who called the Georgia cover last year in the title game, baby? I was all over that shit for you. You don't believe in your boys. I think, no. What's up with Dalvin Cook's brother? Is he part of the mix too, or I know he got suspended one of those games for half.
James
back in the fray?
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like actually the last game he got fewer snaps than he has thus far, but he's playing well for us. I think, Trey kind of brought up a good point. He kind of looks a little bit like Percy Harvin.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys got plenty of weapons. No, I think the only thing I didn't know is obviously Tennessee's got a choice of 2 shit quarterbacks. Obviously, you say Guantanamo Bay, but they've got Chris. Have they decided? Are they keeping which quarterback is starting? Is it shit pile A or shit pile B? Have they decided yet?
Guantanamo shit Paul. He got banged up last week. I texted one of my buddies that lives in Charlotte. He's a diehard Tennessee fan. He says Guantanamo. I call it, what is it? Jaron Guantanamo? Whatever. I call him Guantanamo Bay.
I do the same thing. I don't know his fucking last name. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I hope we pound him, because it's Pruitt coming back, and I don't think he got along with Rick that. So anyway, I think we roll. Well, all right, next I'm gonna jump right in. So top 5 AP is Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, and LSU. So I wanted to get 1-800-SULTAN1's playoff picks, and possibly if there's a dark horse playoff pick. I think you gave one last year on the show. It's NC State. I think that was real early in the year. So I was going to see, what your 4 playoff teams are.
Yeah, you put a gun to my head. NC State, they could have. They had the stars aligned. They just didn't come up with the big games. All right, so now we've got some games under our belt. All right, so you want the problem is the shit's so top heavy. That's what sucks about this. There's really, there's a big difference between the haves and the have-nots. The interesting thing, and again, the thing I love about college football, like the Old Dominion upset. I mean, there's crazy shit that happens. Army almost beating Oklahoma, taking them to overtime. But honestly, I do not see anything that's going to prevent Alabama and Georgia to be in the SEC final and defeated. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, whoever loses that game, do they get in the playoffs? If that happens, I think you look at the best four. I think it doesn't matter, but you cannot match those two in the first game of the playoffs. So you can't have back-to-back games. I don't see any reason. I don't see how Alabama or Georgia does not make the four. Now, I think the cannibalization of the Big Ten is real. I think Ohio State, I think Karma's a bitch. I think the fucking piece of shit Urban Meyer, he's going to get a dick up his ass. I think he's going to, it may not be Penn State. It's murderers row who they play. Either they're going to lose a game. I'm a homer, but I honestly think Michigan's loss to Notre Dame is not bad. Notre Dame is a very good team. It's on the road. Brand new quarterback. Yeah, I was a little conservative, but look what they did last week to Nebraska. I think I love them this week against Northwestern. They're going to beat the shit out of them. I think our Michigan team is they're going to finally get motivated to beat these fuckheads. I really do. If not, there's Michigan State. There's roadblocks for Ohio State. So it's a matter, even if they go and lose the Big Ten title game, see, that's the thing. At that point, it'd be Wisconsin with one loss and then Ohio State with one loss. I don't think Ohio State gets in. I think that. Now, my Clemson, fuck. I love BC as a sleeper, but then they go out and lay a fucking egg against Purdue last week. So, Dillon's a legitimate running back, but they're just not legit. Consistent. The ACC is a pile of garbage, so I don't see anyone beating them. I mean, it really is a pile of shit. I think the crossover games for Clemson, let me take a look at that. I don't think they're impressive. They have to play, hold on one second, pulling their schedule up. They have to cross over, I think it's a couple of vaginas. They're playing Duke. That could be a major game. That's so funny. And they already beat Georgia Tech. That's the rivalry game. So
I think that at Boston College might be a trap game for them.
I totally agree with that. Like I said, that's why I think it can't happen, because it's Saturday. It'll probably be Saturday night. It's going to be dreary. They're not going to get motivated. That's a shitty place to play. I mean, Florida State went up and lost up there. People go up there and lose. I wouldn't be surprised, but if BC didn't lose to Purdue last week, I'd say BC would beat them. Right now, waffling. I'm going to say Clemson is going to make it. I do think so, because they're not. This quarterback battle. And what do you guys think of Bryant being a pussy and leaving? I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna ask you about.
I hate that shit. I hate this transfer rule. Stay with your fucking team. You know what? If you think you got a bad thing, how about you work a little harder? You just fucking pussify society. Hunter Lawrence is better. Have you never seen him? The guy's got a fucking cannon. Bryant, you suck balls. You do comparatively. He does deserve to be benched. But be a good teammate.
Yeah, agreed.
And what happens is if Lawrence gets hurt, you have to go back to some third string. Well, their third string scrub is still probably stud. But it's just, give Jalen Hurts credit for not leaving, because, again, you saw Alabama's third stringer, and he's a bag of ass. So it's just, and the grass isn't always greener. Kelly Bryant is not going to be a pro, so if he's trying to pad his stats, you have a kid from a national championship versus, he went to UNC or some shit, but look what happened last year with the LSU transfer. He didn't even fucking play. He was so bad. There's a reason why, he's just terrible. So I don't think Bryant's going to do anything anywhere else. So it's whatever.
All right, so here's the question I wanted to ask. Who's the bigger free agent if it comes out, Jalen Hurts or Kelly Bryant?
Oh, Hurts is much better. Hurts is definitely, he's got more of an arm. Bryant he played weaker competition. I mean, fuck, Hurts has played in bigger games, and it's mattered. He's tougher. Hurts is much better. No question about that. I do that times out of 100. No question. Bryant is soft to me. He's just a soft, and he's just proven he's a pussy. So, Hurts' character, he at least has been political. He's done it's like the Patriot way, the Alabama way. He's not said some awful things. And his tone of voice, it's been okay. It's been even keel. He lets it stay in the clubhouse. Bryant's just a pussy. He's arrogant, So.
Right, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, it's not like Trevor Lawrence isn't really good. He is, number one. Number two, he's a true freshman. So, like, if you're not, like, good enough to be that a true freshman after you've had, like, what, a 3-year jump start on it, like, it's just not meant to be. Like, enjoy the ride, man.
Well, it's going to happen to see, so I'm looking at, too, is Miami. Malik Rozier, I always thought the guy was a bum, too, and, you know, Miami's just been waiting. That Perry kid, so again, they did the same thing last week. They're playing FIU. It was scripted. It's the third series that Cozy Perry would come in and play. And he came in the third series. They didn't take him out. It's the same type of situation. This kid's got a cannon. He went in there. It was like Baker Mayfield coming in with the Browns. He just came in with a rifle. And just the guys back him. There's a different energy. And he's got talent. Malik Rozier, you're going to get fucking kicked to the curb. Are you going to transfer? The answer is yes. But no one's going to want him. He's stuck ass. So, you know, same situation.
Yeah.
So let me give you a quick 4 teams since I've been running my mouth.
Right.
I think the dark horse team is going to be it's going to be sort of a waffle triumvirate here, but I think the first would be a playing game is this weekend between Stanford and Notre Dame.
Mm.
And the problem is Stanford, you know, they had a horseshoe up their ass. They should not have beat Oregon. Did you guys watch any of that game?
Yeah.
Bullshit's great. If you had Oregon, you've been Oregon in that game, you'd be punching some shit. Because all they had to do was take 3 minutes, but they handed the ball off and fumbled. Those fucking idiots. Stanford gets the ball, ties with a field goal, and it wins by 7 in overtime.
Yeah.
So I think, God, it's tough. They've been on the road. They got to go cross country to Notre Dame. I think Stanford is actually the better team, but I think Notre Dame's going to beat them because it's home. So if Notre Dame wins out, I think they get in.
Really?
However, I was big on Washington last year. I'm big on Washington this year. They lost to Auburn in Georgia. In Atlanta, basically a home game. Not a bad loss. First game, you know, Washington lost a lot of receivers. Their defense is pro level. They're nasty. You know, Browning has definitely regressed, no question about it, but they got, you know, Miles Gaskin's a great running back. And if they just keep the ball rolling, I think the Pac-12 is, in my mind, the third best conference right now. Arguably the second top to bottom because it's all outside of Oregon State being a pilot dome. I think and Arizona sucks. The rest of the teams are solid. I think Washington, if they take care of Stanford, win the Pac-12 game, they take care of business, I think they're definitely in contention. I think the Big 12 is too weak. I think, you know, everyone wants West Virginia and Will Greer, blah, 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 but the two, as we talk about, the bottom feeders are a bunch of pussies. They're all bad. I mean, Kansas, Baylor, fucking, you know, Texas Tech is improved, but still Texas Tech. Iowa State sucks nuts. I mean, it's still the same goons. You know, Oklahoma State's down this year. Kansas State's down this year. Texas, hook my balls, you know.
All right, so you would leave Ohio State out just for a dark horse and put Notre Dame in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you put the gun in my head in the fourth, I'm gonna say Notre Dame. Either Notre Dame or Washington. I'm gonna waffle, put a slash, and go 4 and 4B.
I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hey, so are you a UNC alum?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes, here we go. So I wanted to jump in there. So your Tar Heels 1-2, and Fedora in some trouble. And I wanted to get maybe your coaching search for next year because I know you're probably looking into it. And you got St. Rick against Miami Thursday night. I think it's -18. What's your thoughts on Fedora? Is he dead man walking? And you know what's your coaching search look like coming up?
My God, this is such a bad situation. Let me tell you. You know, first of all, we can start with these idiots. You just get out of all the trouble and all the allegations and all the fucking probation, and then you go and sell all your Nike shit. You fucking idiots. I want to know what the hell. First of all, like, what was appeared? I want to know what the fuck was said and not said to these idiots. I mean, what the fuck? Now, granted, it's not that big of a deal, but it is because it's UNC information. So you have all these suspensions. There's number one. Number two, you have all this dumb shit that Fedora's been saying about CTE, and he's been spouting dumb mouth about stuff. Number three, I don't know how the fuck he got back on the bus after losing to ECU and got their ass whipped. The Sultan won, loved ECU plus 17 in that game. That's my dick there. UNC is at 17 over my dick. So I love ECU in that game. game. UCU won straight up. The best thing that could have ever happened to UNC was the hurricane because it canceled that Central Florida game. If Central Florida came in there and whipped UNC's ass in the first home game, Fedora would have been gone. All right? The fact that Pitt is so hapless that UNC, in their last 15 games against Power 5 teams, they're 2-13. Guess who the 2 wins are against? Shitty Pitt. That's we own Pitt. Yay! Woo! Good stuff. But look at that crowd. I was watching that game. So it's actually a big transition they made in the stadium. They actually got rid of all the bleachers. And it went, so the capacity went from like 63,000 down to like low 50s, but it's all seats. Dude, there's maybe 25,000 people on a beautiful sunny day last week for the first home game. Yeah, you can maybe blame Florence. Bullshit. People are apathetic, disinterested. They're sick of this team sucking nuts. When you lose, when you get your ass whipped by ECU, the little sister, not a little brother, little fucking sister with all the vaginas that they have, they're fucking fed up. This guy is fucking a dead man walking. Get this guy out of here. I gave him the hall pass last year because of all the injuries, but he's just, the recruiting sucks. They've given up on him. No, they fucking suck nuts. No, I don't like it. I don't. Who to get? I've been thinking about this, dude. I mean, obviously there's names that come up.
Hey, I got a list for you. I got a list for you. I'm gonna throw some at you. Hey, here's from a UNC, a big UNC fan here. Some of them are kind of a reach, but hey, they're names. First off, Chris Peterson. I don't think he's leaving the West Coast. Hey, PJ Fleck.
I've heard him. Fuck that rowed the boat. No, fuck that guy. He's not for us.
Jay Norville, who's the Memphis coach.
Yeah, the Memphis guy. That's like probably the hot name. He's you know what? It'll bring excitement because it's a hot offense. Young guy. I think they bring excitement. That's not a bad hire, you know.
Charlie Strong coming from South Florida.
How many
That's never happened.
He's passed around like a fucking beer bottle, man. It ain't gonna happen with him. I like him because he knows Florida. He's a good coach. I don't think they'll do it though. It's not a bad hire, but no, I don't think they'll do it. And
then I can't think of his name, the Wisconsin defensive coordinator.
I can't think of him. Here's who I thought would be a great hire. I've doodled this. I'd love to see Venables from Clemson get grabbed, pay him the money, get his ass there. I think that'd be fantastic. They need to make a splash like that, you know? Who else got I'm blinking right now?
Here's two names that I throw out there that he goes, hell no, but I thought, hey, Butch Jones is looking for a job consulting with Alabama. He's got previous experience. And then also, hey, Jim McElwain, Swamp Donkey, the ex-Florida coach.
He's not bad. I don't want to be a champion of life, so fuck Butch Jones. Swamp Donkey.
There you go.
Here's who I like. I love Boston College's coach, Steve Adagio. I don't know if he's going cross conference, but that guy is tough. He creates guys with an attitude. I love that guy. If they can somehow pluck him, fantastic. I'd be a big winner of that guy. You know who also I love? I would love the Mad Pirate. Get him away from Washington State. Bring him to Chapel Thrill. The guy is I love Mike Leach. Man.
Hey, Mike Leach. Hey, we're putting all you guys in the utility closet.
Dude, he's awesome. Whatever. Dude, when you can win consistently at Washington State, when the Palouse, when they can't get shit, and the tragedy that happened last, I mean, they got so much to deal with. That guy just has a program and wins. He's, you know, and the disciples he's had. He's got Lincoln Riley, all the good guys that come fed off his tree. The guy's money, man. Get that crazy motherfucker. That's my guy. Yeah.
What?
As for the spread, it depends. For the quarterback thing we're talking about, I think what they do from a political standpoint, I think Rozier comes in the game. I think what happens, he better do something. Like, so if it's like a 7-0 game, you know, and it's listless performance, he gets the stage hook. Perry comes in. I think he puts Carolina's dick in the dirt. It's just a matter of when they bring Perry in. I could easily see this being a snooze fest, like a low-scoring game. But I think Carolina, they're going to be down in Big East. I think they're going to get grinded. You know, they're going to get grinded on. I think if Perry is in there, I think it's gonna be too much Miami late in the game. Miami minus the 18 and a half, all the way up to 21.
Hey, he
Well,
goes
hey, what
against the alumni. That's
about
awesome.
what about Lane Kiffin?
Huh.
I mentioned that too with Lane Kiffin. I don't know what his buyout is at FAU. I have no problem with that kid. I guess because you need someone to put passes in the seats. And he's funny, man. The problem is we don't want the scuzz bucket thing. That's the thing. You know, we do want someone. I know, again, the Pirates are scuzz bucket too, but in a different way. Like Leach, Kiffin. I think it's a little too evident. Like honestly, I think he puts Davis back. I think the guy was awesome, but they won't ever bring him back. Yeah, wishful thinking. It's fun to throw these names out there. You know, it's pretty fun, but that's not realistic. Oh, you're going to love this too. And one of my ninefold, the pick nine, my number one pick was last week against UNC. So I got, of course, fucking asshole kid and won. So I'm going to buy it. So I know when to take. I think I know when to take him and when not to. This week you take Miami.
All right.
Interesting.
All right, we got some. We'll go to our picks then. We'll go rapid fire here. So I got 5 picks for you. Sean and I can give us our picks. All right, first one, just because it was a big loss last year, but Syracuse 4-0 rolling into Clemson with a little bit of the Kelly Bryant controversy, and you got true freshman Trevor Lawrence for the first career start. Clemson minus 25. What's your thoughts on that game?
See, that line's all over the board. It started, I think, at 22 and a half, so it's already jumped 3. I don't know who the public's on right now. I think the thing with Syracuse, backdoor touchdowns always in play. Clemson front seven's nasty. I think there's revenge on the mind. Since Syracuse beat them last year, yes, that was a big touching game, last year. But revenge on the mind of Syracuse. I think they want to quell all this locker room horse shit with Bryant. I would not be surprised if this is the statement game for Clemson to go and try to bury the Qs. I love this Q team. They're dirty. They play hard, but this is just overmatched talent. I think the key is, too, Eric Gungey's a gimp. He's had head problems all the time. I think all it takes is one hard hit from the front 4. He can be on Queer Street, concussion protocol. Their backup is a bozo. I think Clemson could cover this line. I would take Clemson minus the points in this game. But I do like Syracuse. I think Syracuse is a good team, but I just think there's too much. It's like the drugs. The style points need to be there at this point. There's controversy in that locker room. I think Clemson's going to show we're galvanized, we're together. Hunter Lawrence, you and that mullet, push down this field constantly. Let's go.
All right, I like it. Hey, what you got, Sean?
I actually kind of agree with Sultan on this. I mean, my reasoning though is that Syracuse doesn't exactly have the greatest defense. So the thing is, this is the perfect time for Trevor Lawrence to come in with a start, and just to kind of carve them up. Obviously, like as Sultan mentioned, Clemson's got a very experienced defensive line, very strong defense. So, Clemson can still score points fast. So I don't think it's going to take much, for them to get 28. And I can see that defense, kind of making a statement. Because I'll be honest, we didn't really talk about it yet, but I kind of think Clemson probably more than anybody, including us, really kind of needs a statement game at this point. I mean,
totally.
I guess people were. Especially after the Texas A&M game, and then the way Bama smashes them, they kind of need to win this one big.
And look at the schedule. Syracuse, they played the Sisters of the Poor. I mean, they played Western Michigan, they played Wagner. FSU, lethal simplicity is what I call lethal shit down in Tyler City. And then UConn has got the worst defense in Division I. So it's not like they play murderers row. While Clemson, they go and they've had some battles. So they're battle tested. I just struggle with Georgia Southern, but they're fine. I think statement game, statement made, ball sack on the 50.
All right, I'm gonna go against that. Here we go.
Good.
Here we go. Hey, I like it. Woo! So I got 38-17. I think Syracuse makes it a little closer in the first half. I think Trevor Lawrence. A little bit of the Kelly Bryant distraction this week. Not saying it's a bad thing, but Trevor Lawrence probably gets 4 touchdowns, maybe a pick, rushes a throw in there. Kind of close to the first half, pull away in the second half. I got 38-17, so I'd take Syracuse in the points.
Here's the only distraction that Lawrence has. is how much hot pussy he's going to get after the game when he's the number one guy.
Exactly.
That's what he's trying to worry about. Do I have a threesome or not? That's what he's worried about.
Hey, it's Sunshine from Remember the Titans.
Yes, sunshine. Exactly. Nice. I like that.
All right, here we go. Let's jump right into the big one of the week. I believe it's game day. Ohio State against Penn State. Urban Meyer needs a big win. Hey, and what I was reading an article today is they said everybody in Columbus has forgotten about what happened to Urban Meyer. But it's Ohio State minus 3.5. It's going to be a whiteout. It's going to be white at night.
Nice.
Ohio State minus 3.5 against Penn State.
I hate Ohio State, but I'm always unbiased. The thing is, they're a much different defense without Bosa for sure. The problem is, I just don't see. This is not the Penn State team of last year. I don't think McSorley has been the McSorley of last year. I like Miles Sanders. I think he tore apart Illinois, and they ran out to score on those guys last week. And I can't even believe Penn State covered. That was crazy. That they even covered that game.
27 or something like that.
It was 24-21 Illinois in the third. Penn State was up 42 to cover.
Yeah.
63-24. It's crazy. They don't have the receivers. They don't have Giuseppe at tight end. They don't have the defense. Haskins is legit, man. I think this offense marches the John Phillips students, they march up and down the field constantly. I don't care if they're wearing white, they're wearing black, they're naked. It doesn't fucking matter what's going on in Happy Valley. Ohio State's going to go in there and take care of business. As much as I hate to say that, they're going to do it. They'll win by at least a touchdown. And it's revenge on the mind, too, so they got to,
What you got, Sean?
I agree. I mean, I think the one thing for Urban Meyer is that he's very good at taking, I guess, controversy or negative criticism, especially when he's got a talented team, and just using that almost as just this synergistic, thing where they kind of go in and dominate. I mean, not to bring up a sort of subject, but Georgia, Florida, 2008 after the celebration was one example. The other one was when, people were just expecting, that year they won the national title with Urban for, Alabama to just roll over them, and they went out there and punched them in the mouth. Obviously it's a little bit different, given what we're talking about, domestic violence or whatever, but I think it's the same thing. That quarterback he's got is very good. That offense is very efficient. And even without Bosa, I think the defense is probably still good enough that they can win by 7. It's not like we're, asking them to cover by like 3 touchdowns or anything.
Well, Haskins is the best quarterback. I don't know how he sat on the bench, and they got JT. This kid's so much better. Again, I get the loyalty factor, but it's like, again, repeating the same statements. These younger guys, the Lawrences of the world, and Perry's of mine. Haskins got a ton of talent, man. He is unbelievable. This is just a different offense with so many weapons. They've got 4 legitimate pro receivers or weapons out of the backfield that they can throw to. It's nasty what Ohio State's got. It is. It sucks. I hate it, but just being unbiased. Fuck you, Ohio State did it. Sorry.
Hey, I got, I think too many weapons, Dwayne Haskins, and then there's no Saquon Barkley for Penn State. They keep it close in the first half. I got 38-24 Ohio State. Take the money and run.
This would be a second half line that you probably want to jump on. Correct. It is at halftime. Agreed. Yep.
Yeah, we can finish this up, and then if you want, we can go get some food.
All right, the next one is looking at Stanford against Notre Dame. Notre Dame minus 5.5.
Oh, it's that big? I didn't know the line was that big. Holy crap.
This is on ESPN as of now, so it could move.
Yeah, it started, I think, at 4, 5.5.
I'll go in just a second.
It's a tough call. Great, hell of a switch against Wimbush. Doesn't know every kid's talent. He's just not headstrong, not accurate. Book is, he did awesome in the bowl game against LSU. He's got Notre Dame's running back is coming back in this game. Their defense is good. The problem with Notre Dame is, they lost 2 stud linemen. They're in the top 10, the first round, last year in the draft. Offense is a little weird. Stanford, they have that feel to me. That's the problem. I think 5.5 is too many, even though they've had to travel from Oregon. They played a great game. They probably should not have won, should not have covered, but they're gutty. They, Costello's a good quarterback. Their D should be stronger. It's not, but their offense is better than it's been, because they've got a good, they have a great number one receiver. They've got their usual tight ends. Love, they don't even need Love to really be Love. That's the thing. They've got enough weapons. I think Stanford close to 5.5 is the play. I think it's a field goal game.
We still got Notre Dame.
Yeah,
winning, right?
Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame wins, but I think it's like a 21-17, 24-21. It's not going to be a touchdown. It's definitely because they're both teams keeping low scoring. And just a slobber knocker. Just good, hard-nosed, physical, old-school football with no bullshit roughing the passer Clay Matthew calls, which doesn't get me started on that horse shit. Fucking NFL.
Who you got on that one, Sean?
I got a lot of family that are Notre Dame fans, and the one thing that, they'll say and I agree with is that, as great a coach as Kelly can be at times, he's also their biggest Achilles heel because, he just wants to pass all the time when he really should run. So to me, it kind of depends on what Kelly you get out there, too. You know what I mean? I mean, when they play balanced football, they're as good as anybody. But the thing is, if he wants to throw 70 times, I don't think it's going to work out well in his favor,
Yeah.
I just don't know. You could flip a coin for me.
The funny thing with Kelly is just, I've never seen a coach who's that good that is on the hot seat for being good. Like, because he seems like before the book move, like he's on the hot seat. Even though people like him, they're thinking like, hey, if they don't do it this year, they're going to kick him out. Like, dude, who's going to be better? You want Willingham again? Do you want fucking Charlie Weiss? Do you want these shitheads to come? I mean, Kelly is a good coach. But it's just the gold dome mystique. I just hope they're patient with the guy. I think he's the best fit for him personally,
Yeah. I think that they're waiting for another Lou Holtz to come through those doors or whatever. He's kind of like
I'm on the sidelines. I'm not coming anytime soon to Notre Dame. I'm South Carolina now through and through. Jesus, guys. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, go ahead.
Well, I think he's kind of there more Rick, honestly. It's just, he kind of elevated them to a certain level, but, they're ready for that next – they're looking for a Saban that'll come in and, lead them back to the 30s when they had Newt Rockne, I guess.
Yeah, we all think the next coach is going to lead to dominance. I'm still winning at UNC. It's been ever since Mac left, it's been horseshit after horseshit.
Hey, you can get ready to throw out those basketballs. I know you don't want to hear it.
I'm ready whenever. It'd be fantastic. I'm ready for basketball season.
Yeah. I'm going to take 28-21. I think they stopped Bryce Love a little bit, and 28-21 Notre Dame.
You do realize you're 10-10 against the Sultan all over the place.
Pretty much.
Good. Bring it.
All right.
I'm clapping. I'm gesturing. Bring it. I'm going to come here, baby. Have a piece of this shit.
Kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, Rolex wearing. Hey, keeping these Gators down. All right, we're going to roll last pick here just because it's probably the most interesting. And I want to know is where did all the Kentucky fans come from? Pumping their chest out. We going to win the East. George, you got to come to Lexington. So you got South Carolina at Kentucky. Kentucky 4-0, ranked 17. They're even calling Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum goes, I've been doing this year for 5 years. This is the most Kentucky fans have called in one day in the whole 5 years. So you got South Carolina at Kentucky. South Carolina looking pretty good last week, blowing out Vanderbilt. Had a little poo-poo stop when in Columbia against Georgia, ran over them. But South Carolina, or Kentucky -1. Benny Snell running all over the place last week. What's your thoughts?
Fantastic. My thoughts is I actually have one more game we should discuss after this, so hold the fort on that. Going into this game, I would say that, yes, the Sultan drank a fucking Kool-Aid on the Georgia game, and boy, did they get an ass whipping. I fucking said, what the hell? Show some fucking pride. They didn't. However, here's what I think. Yes, Snell's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that passing game has been awful. I think they were very juiced up because of all the social media back and forth, Mississippi State, Kentucky. And boy, did they open up a can of whippets. That's a fired up fucking team last week. That was good to see that. This 5-0. This would be the first time in history or whatever shit. I think that, now they did play well against Florida. They're not a fluke. I think if they can somehow, South Carolina forces Kentucky to pass. Kentucky's not in a position. They don't have any idea how to deal with the success.
I agree.
I think South Carolina, they just, like you said, they whipped Vanderbilt's ass on the road. Vandy held close with Notre Dame. Vandy, if Shermer's a good quarterback, not a bad team, I think I would take, I can't believe I'm saying it because these shitheads fucked me, but you know what? They're going to Bill Cosby me and he's going to fucking, he's going to fuck, he's going to slip some drugs in my drink. And it's South Carolina plus the 1.5. If I got to do it, I'm going to take the Cox again. And I won't take the Cox. If fucking Kentucky covers, it's right up my ass.
All right, what you got, Sean?
Well, I mean, I think Sultan actually brought up a good point, in that Kentucky's very one-dimensional. I mean, they've got Benny Snell, and that's it. South Carolina's running game, it's not obviously as good as Snell, but it's still, it's good enough. And they obviously can pass the ball. They got a good quarterback, good wideouts. So advantage off on the offense to me is South Carolina. Defense, I think they're relatively speaking like comparable. I think, Kentucky always starts out this way too, right? It seems like with Mike Stoops where, they start out and they win some big games or whatever, and then ultimately they end up coming back down to earth. And then end up losing games that, they probably could have won. So, I think it's the same. I think South Carolina also realizes that, look, I mean, you got your ass kicked by Georgia, but, Georgia's still got some hiccups potentially ahead. You got LSU, you got Auburn. So, they're not out of it by any means. So they've still got a lot left to play for. I don't think there's any way in hell Kentucky's, in a legit conversation to be like in the SEC title game. I just don't see it. So
nope.
I'm going with South Carolina on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go 28-24. They're going to get Debo Samuel and Brian Edwards rolling with Jay Billy throwing it around the yard. They're going to stack the box to try to contain Benny Snell. And I guess this Wilson kid's only got 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, 28-24, shutting the Wildcats up. And looks like Georgia will be 2 games ahead of everybody.
I'll tell you this. If Kentucky does win, Snell's a good game. I put a backdoor Heisman bet on his ass. He may be like a 25-1. Why not, dude? His stats are ridiculous. He's carrying these guys.
Yeah, he's rolling. Hadn't that guy seemed like he's been there for 6 years, though? I'm glad to get him. Is he a senior?
He's a senior, and I'm pissed because I missed getting him. I'm in a Power 5 conference fantasy league, and I just missed getting him in the second round. The guy before me took him, fucker. Nice. But on this podcast, let me say, I can't believe you're not going to talk about Florida, Mississippi State with Mullen going back to Mississippi State, dude.
That's what we're about to get in, man. That was going to be, I'll go ahead and throw it out there, my dog of the week. Coming off a loss, I was 2-0. Last week I took Iowa at home. Thought they were going to get up, but they ended up kind of choking against Wisconsin, so I'm 2-1. But anyway, jumping into that, I like Florida, Dan Mullen going back home. He's got Felipe Franks as a snail's pace, getting a little better. Mississippi State coming off that ass whooping. Nick Fitzgerald smoking mirrors, similar to last year when Georgia put the whooping on them when they came to Athens, 31-3. I like Florida plus 7.5. Road dog winning outright. I'm gonna go 31-24. The Gators on the road.
Sad, but I agree. I think they can win. I love the 7 in the hook because obviously he knows his personnel. He knows how Fitzgerald sucks balls. I think here's the thing though. I got my pulse on Mississippi State. They're much better with Thompson in as a quarterback, man. He's got, I think he ran that offense because what happened, Tyler Hill was also fantastic. He had that 200-yard game against K-State. I mean, K-State, granted, sucked donkey dick, but that fucking offense was flowing. Ever since Fitzgerald's been back, it's been slow motion. Hill's not gotten involved. Yep. Williams is fucking an afterthought. I don't know what the hell they're doing. It's just like Fitzgerald wants to Tebow record or just to beat Tim Tebow, but he sucks, If they're smart, put Thompson in, it's much better. I think Thompson runs the system so much fucking better. He's a better athlete. He gets Hill involved. It runs more heads off. It's just like, be like Penn State Revisited. If Fitzgerald's in there, I think Florida can win by 10, 2 touchdowns. Their defense is opportunistic. I think they've got 10 fumble recoveries, if memory serves me correctly. I think they got 7 sacks. Yeah, so they're arguably one of the better defenses out there. It's not like Kentucky did shit on them. It was just that it just happened. It was, the ball just the offense just matters what Frank. If Frank can game manage, which he did last week, it's not too bad. I think they're fine. I think they win this game. I'm with you.
Hey, are we putting a Sultan guarantee lock of the week 7.5? Take it.
Well, I'm not locking anything when it's associated with the Trey's Dawg of the week. I'm not ever going to attach my time to that juicy pick. You know what? And if that pick covers, on the same side, we get Sultan brother. That's what you can think. No.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, what you got, Sean?
I think it's Florida. Again, I think like Jeff said, I think the defense is amazing. What they did again, I get Tennessee's a bit of a dumpster fire, but still, if what did they contribute last week? 3 or 4 turnovers, maybe in the 6, we're in that game. That's not all just Tennessee, making bad plays or whatever. Some of that's
oh yeah, it's a dude.
CeCe Jefferson, can create a pass rush. And I'll say this, Felipe Franks, since Mullins come in, he's kind of a serviceable quarterback at this point. The thing is he manages the game well enough. He'll make some throws, but he's not trying to, be Dan Marino either. Offensive line, I think, is a little bit better than people give it credit for as well. And they can run the ball. So, I think they win one. And to me, Mississippi State, I think they're in a bit of a turmoil right now. What makes it tough, too, is we really don't know how this coach is going to bounce back. But if you read some of the reports, coming out of, the media in Starkville, I think one of them said, that this is the first time he could remember that, Mississippi State was out of the SEC, championship conversation, before September was over. You just don't know. Maybe they can kind of rally or whatever and make it close, but I just think Florida's just got too many horses and, unless he's willing to kind of gamble and give this other kid, a start, there's just too much going on there for Mississippi State to win.
Hey, you got the cowbells going though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all the pick. Anything you want to get off your chest there, Sultan one? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm glad for plenty. The pleasure's been all yours, but actually, no, I'm coming on. No, I got nothing. I can tell you, actually, I'm just a little blurb. That I actually, with a couple of guys from our National High School, we're actually doing we're piloting what we call the heat option podcast. So we basically have 3 goons from our pool, and I call them 3M. So it's guys with the last name of M or their names are M. So we get their picks, and then myself and Jason Kronbein look at their picks, and we heat option means we go the other way. So if those guys are all on one game, we go the opposite.
That sounds like whatever you should do for me. Yeah, I'm that guy.
We would love to have you. If we get this thing rolling, you will definitely be a special guest picker at OMB. I'd love to have you come down.
Oh, you're awesome.
Going, baby. I'd love to have you come down. To your house, to the left, to the right, and the middle double T.
Hey, speaking of that, how's Turbo doing this year? Justin Turbo Potter going solo this year.
All right, so we changed the format of the pool because all these places, I'm going to bring in more people. Yeah, you're supposed to be for the last 20 years and you're still a vagina. But, so what I did, so it's a pick nine, and before you say, okay, here's my 3 best plays, you get 2 points apiece, and then the other 6 are 1. Because people were saying, oh, I'm going to add all these people, I changed the format to a confidence pool. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
No.
I've done that with NCAA tournament, yeah.
Yep. So it's still pick 9, but you have to rank your picks, 9 being the game you like the most, down to 1. So it's changed the dynamic. So it's available 45 points every week. So it just is on steroids. If you don't get your key picks, it sucks. Turbo is, I think, out of 28 people, I think he's either 26th or 27th. He's in the death spiral. He's a human choreo effect. Yes. You can ask Turbo how he's doing. He'll say, oh, man, Jeff changed the pool format. It sucks, man. And it's funny because the people who are well, man, I love this format. It's great, man. So it's of course, when you suck, you're not going to like it. And if you like it, and if you're doing great, you're going to love it. So,
awesome.
It's interesting. Yep.
That does sound cool. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate Sultan One making another appearance.
No problem, baby.
And
man.
Anything you got to get off your chest there, Sean?
No, man, definitely we got to have you back on. Not next week, the week after for certain, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hopefully we'll get it in his schedule. Sultan One's a busy guy.
Sultan One is good, probably because this is the close of the fiscal year. Yep. I would probably, you said 2 weeks? 2 weeks I should be good. I'm one major project I'm trying to finish up before our finalization of data, which you guys don't need to hear this geeky shit, but I should be good.
If we can maybe get you on for Georgia LSU, because I think Georgia's got some easy ones coming up. That'd be a good week to talk on that.
If the views and the listens spike up, you got to give the people what they want, and that's simply ravishing. The Sultan, baby.
I brought 1-800. Hey, the viewers are lower, so we're bringing in the heavy hitter 1-800 Sultan One, trying to get us over.
That's right.
1-800 Sultan One. 1-800 Sultan One. Don't go with the pack.
All right, thanks. That's Sean, Trey, Sultan One, and that's Herschel Talkers, and we're out.